Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Volusia Flagler Cares. It's a show where we put a spotlight on nonprofit groups throughout Volusia and Flagler counties. Today, we have with us from Frog Ministries, Gary Hand, who I've met through his wife, who's the president of my Kiwanis Club in New Smyrna Beach. But Gary is the director of development, community outreach, and is a volunteer
Hmm.
for Frog Ministries, and the it's an acronym for Forever Relying on God.
That is
Uh,
correct.
and what we don't push religion or anything one way or the other. But when I heard what you guys do, Gary, it was like one of those, well, you know what? There's no rules. I run the show. Yeah, this is something people should know about. And whether it's through a religious or a secular, whatever it is, you guys are doing great things, and I want to be able to share that, with the people that we do have listening, and hopefully you might be able to share that with some of the, on down the line. On the internet, it's here forever.
It is.
So you're based out of Edgewater, or where?
Yeah, they're in a 7,000 square foot building in Edgewater. They've been there now a few years.
Mhm.
They've gone from building to building to building, and again, it's the forever relying on God aspect. If a lease expired, another building came up. They even had, I think, two buildings before the one they're in now.
Right.
Actually had a car run into it. So it became useless, but yet within a few days they were in another building. So, and it all started under a bridge in New Smyrna Beach out of the back
Under
of
a
a van
bridge.
almost 20 years ago. Yep.
Wow. What I guess, why don't we start with a little bit about what, you and coming to New Smyrna, and being a part of everything. I understand you were, and we were just discussing about the care industry.
Hmm.
And how did you get started in that? What did how did that then evolve and come all the way around into now being on the nonprofit side?
Well, I'll try to give you the short version of that. I
Okay.
was in the Navy. I was in the Navy. I got out of the Navy and returned to my home in South Jersey.
Okay.
Um, looking for a job, and I was having a hard time finding anything locally. Didn't want to travel back and forth to Philadelphia. So I wrote a letter to the editor of a local newspaper saying it was a lousy situation for returning vets. A guy that owned a nursing home saw that printed um, piece in the paper, called me in for an interview, and we had a common link between us. His tennis partner was my doctor. So that night, the two of us talked to his tennis partner. Do I want to go with him? Does he want to go? And we said, yes, this is the way it should work. And that's the way it started. It started in a single nursing home, and then went into when Charlie died. His wife and I continued the operation, and then started to acquire some nursing homes in other areas, and got into childcare, grocery stores. Won't bore you with that. That was a disaster. Um, Rehab, and a number of things. And then eventually we decided the best thing to do was to sell that. At
Hmm.
that point, I went on and worked for some of the larger, well known national companies that did that.
Sure.
And eventually I hit a point where I said, I'd like to start to work for the people as opposed to the stockholders. And that's when I got
Nice.
involved in nonprofits. And the one that really kind of got me going in that was a nonprofit in Indiana that um, was provided assistive technology and services to people with disabilities. And that's a fancy term for anything, any device, any program that will help somebody with a disability become more independent. And it was a great number of years doing that.
Mhm.
Um, and then we relocated to Florida for some strange reason. Um, and I went into retirement, yeah, almost,
Again.
um, and then got involved in importing an ergonomic writing device to help people with disabilities, where I was the U.S. distributor, and I had other organizations, companies buy them from me and resell them. And
Sure.
after a few years of that, I decided, no, I've had enough. Gave it to the my best customer, so she could take
Oh,
it over.
great. Hey, they earned it,
Yeah.
right?
And then I retired again, and it's say a couple years went by, and then I knew about Frog, um, but I never really thought a whole lot about it. And went down one day to drop some things off, and got talking to them down there. And I said, okay, this is where I need to be right now. I need it
No
for
kidding.
me,
Yeah.
and I want to volunteer, and I think I can offer something.
Well, we all have our kind of come to Jesus moments, if you will. And, you never know when it's going to hit. But
No.
for a truly, um, a real person, you're going to have those experiences in your life at some point. So it's
Yeah.
great that you were able to experience it at an organization that is so wonderful.
Yes. Truly is.
And I did a little bit of research, and I was looking, went to your website,
Okay.
and I was looking under the mission and Matthew 25, and it
Yep.
says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me." So this is not the first time anyone's thought about this.
Oh no, no, and I mean, this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Not just Prague, but everybody. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are hurting right now, and
Oh, yeah.
you know,
And it's
Prague
only
was able to help in
beginning,
that
Gary.
regard.
Yeah, I think it's only the beginning.
Yeah, I think you're right. But
But
anyway, you can come to Prague. You can shop like you do at thrift stores. The only difference is when you go to check out, you don't have to pay anything. It's free.
well, who qualifies for this? Is there like an application or
The first time you come in, you will chat with most likely Dawn,
okay?
and she's going to say hi, how are you? And
Is this Dawn who used to
Dawn
drive the
Clark.
minivan around
Yeah, well,
and
yeah.
sell
Dawn
content
started
and give out
in
free
the back of
food?
the minivan. She became known as Mom Frog. Yeah, and but really, it's the people that show up at the door, at least at this point, are people in need, and
Hmm.
you can see it when they come in. There's no huge application. We don't do background checks or anything like that. It's
Okay.
a ministry that supports people in need, and I think for the most part, over the years, that's who's been coming to us.
Right. Right. Nobody's taking advantage of the
Yeah,
of your goodwill.
yeah,
And I helped years and years and years ago, 1991, 92. We started the basket brigade. And there were times that we were up on, North Halifax Drive, and it was one of those, don't ask any questions because you just don't know what somebody is going through, and it's all relative, you know.
yeah. Exactly,
So,
exactly.
but what you guys do, I mean, the relief for these people has just got to be palpable. I mean, how does what type of feedback do you get?
Well, that's an interesting statement. I mean, the people that come there, you can tell that they're appreciative, and you can tell that these are the items that they're coming to get. They truly need, um, but they don't talk a lot about themselves or about that.
Right.
We from time to time, one of the things that I'd like to be able to see us have on our website are, um, more testimonials from what people,
Sure.
how has this impacted your life? And they're hesitant to do that. I think to a great degree, they're concerned as to, well, who's going to see me? Who's going to know it's me? This kind of thing.
You know what? I don't even know that it's necessarily. I mean, that's a factor of it, but I think it just comes down to, and believe me, I've been that person.
Mhm.
You know, embarrassed.
Exactly.
Just guilty. Those are terms that that kind of get in the way of almost every
Sure.
relationship and everything that there is, but those are real reasons why I would, or I could imagine somebody else would not want to either utilize it, or because I mean you are admitting, guess, hey.
Exactly. And that's hard to share with other people.
Mhm.
We do have actually we have a brochure that we just finished completing, and
Oh, I
we
have a
did have,
copy of it and it's great.
yeah. And you read the story about Mitch, right?
Oh yeah, now
Isn't
that's
that a
great.
phenomenal story? I mean, the guy starts coming there, made some bad decisions, starts coming there, getting the clothing he needs and so forth.
Hmm.
Works into a time where he's actually, volunteering there and becoming part of the operation. And today he's married, has a kid, goes to church, has a job. You know, that's the kind of success that we want to see for everybody.
Oh man, it is unbelievable though. But as I again was doing my research, I noticed that there was a donation link.
Hmm.
But for you guys to do the volume and the amount that you do with what you have, how do you cover all of these operating costs and put it all to, and really keep the logistics of this thing going? That's a major deal.
Yeah, and the fascinating thing on that I learned very quickly, it goes back to the name, for frog, forever relying on God. And
Yeah.
for 20 years, as a need has come up, whatever resources are necessary come up at the same time. It may be a
Right.
new building, it may be a $5,000 repair, and the money comes in. It just blew me away because again, I went down there. I'm going to be a fundraiser. I'm going to raise funds. Well, God's been doing that for 20 years without my help, and He doesn't need my help. And, I've kind of shifted my perspective more into community awareness and
Mhm.
sharing what they do, letting people know what they do, with the ask for money being secondary to everything else. It has been there when necessary. So that's how they keep the lights on and pay for insurance or repairs.
Sure.
It's, oh, what are we going to, oh, look, somebody just gave us a check for X. It's amazing.
Uh, I believe it's called the power of intention, where you throw out, what you need or what you're looking for or whatever, and the universe, God, whatever it is, kind of brings it around. And not saying it drops it on your doorstep. Sometimes you got to fight for it, but those things then become available or made available.
Yeah. And I mean, and the amazing thing again is they've never really done any what you would call traditional fundraising. They'll have a need that comes up and they'll go, well, I wonder where, how are we going to, and oh, here it is. It's there. Wow. Thank you, God. Let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I'll bet Bonnie wishes that was happening for our Kiwanis Club.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, so speaking of that, Gary, what exactly what are your job there, and what are kind of the different other jobs that are involved in keeping an operation like this going?
Well, really, you've got Dawn, who of course started this again under a bridge out of the back of her van. Her husband Chip, and
Mhm.
their I'm not going to think of her daughter's name right now. Oh, shame on me. That's what
Tough
happens
getting
when you
old.
get to be 78. The brain dies on you, and and you move on. Um, those are the three people that are there on all the days that they're open. They have some trusted volunteers, a few trusted volunteers,
Hmm.
and they come in on their days they're open. They start early, they leave late, and those are the staff. They have
Wow.
a volunteer like me, and again, I emphasize that because I don't want people to think that I'm some guy getting paid to do this. I'm doing it because I want to.
Well,
Um,
on the other side of it, I am on the fundraising, donating side of the ledger here, but I honestly believe that there are times that the volunteers have been taken advantage of to the point of losing them, whereas a small, just a token of something, hey, here's gas money, whatever it is. I
mhm.
think those get dropped and missed as an opportunity to retain our best people. I've just seen it happen.
Yeah, and it's again, it varies by organization. I mean, going back through, I mean, look, hospitals. Hospital has they have volunteers. You know,
Yeah.
lots of volunteers. In the case of Frog, the people that are there that are volunteering are very dedicated to that mission,
Hmm.
and they're treated well. Um, but I don't see some of the stuff that you're saying ever going to happen there. But that's not what the people are looking for. They get rewarded in other ways by seeing the people that come in there and find what it is that they need to help get them
Hmm.
through another day or another week. That's the reward that we're looking for. So
Man, it's so cool that you guys are involved in doing this. I mean, we have so many gaps. They're
yeah.
just going to get wider. And to know that you guys are there fighting the good fight, and doing it from a pure source. It's not like some people, okay, bring the cameras in, let's get this, let's
Mhm.
do that. I had to beg you to kind of come into this and talk about it. And when I finally saw your new brochure, it was like, no, we need him on. I mean,
Thank you.
there's just nothing like it.
Yeah,
So,
it's yeah. You're hard pressed finding something like this, anywhere else.
right.
And
Well, I knew I had a great subject.
well, and that's one of the things too. As Frog looks down to the future,
Hmm.
what are you going to do? Um, well, some of the things that we would, like to be doing is, maybe being able to assist another organization start something like this somewhere else because,
Right.
our primary area is Oak Hill, Edgewater, New Smyrna Beach. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, what about other areas? What about DeLand? What about Deltona? What about Ormond area? They could
Every
benefit
city in this
from
area.
something like this just as well. So
Right.
how can we help somebody learn the ropes, for the lack of a better term,
Hmm.
to get something moving in that direction? How do we find a way to move into you know what we'll call mini housing or some kind of program that will allow
For
people
affordable
to have
housing.
housing, receive some training? How can we partner with some businesses so as these people become trained in certain skills, they can move in, they can move out of this tiny housing into an apartment,
Hmm.
and have a job and have a future, like Mitch. How do we help more
Exactly.
people do that? And those are some of the challenges that we like to be able to deal with in the future.
Well, and again, that then comes back about community involvement.
Mhm.
And you obviously have a lot of great people that are in your pipeline to help donate and to keep the wheels greased.
Hmm.
Uh, is there more to the community involvement than that, or is that just is this the churches coming together? Is it, how does all of this work?
Well, I'm still learning a lot of that, being as new as I am doing these kinds of things.
Sure.
I think that there's a couple of things stick out in my mind,
Okay.
and I'm not talking about everybody, but I think there's a lot of misconception that, you know, doing this is somebody else's job. I don't need to do this. Somebody else is taking care of it. Well,
Hmm.
no, it takes, what is it, the saying, it takes a village or whatever
At,
to
at
raise a
least.
kid or whatever. It takes everybody being involved in some way, whether it's writing a check to an organization or, getting communities to focus on issues. I think there's areas those can be improved. I think also as I'm beginning to get a little bit more familiar with things that are going on with agencies that, everybody's doing a good job, but how do we take all of these entities that are doing things and have conversations on how we can work together so that I'm not trying to do what you're doing, you're not trying to do what somebody else is doing, and we can build on that.
I
There's
got
some
to tell you,
opportunity here.
you Gary, you see exactly. I was previously in the Daytona Club,
Mhm.
and we had a promotion called Threads of Compassion. And this is like 40 some years. J.C. Penney's, his daughter, the J.C. Penney's daughter,
Okay.
who lives in Norman, she kind of wanted to help kids before school started. And eventually it was with the police and the Kiwanis. But, we had like 250 kids go through there, and they were given a gift card, and then they were allowed to go through. But then other businesses, now they wanted to participate. So, it ends up, what you're talking about in the community involvement is that there's just, well, I guess there's just so many places for people to get involved. And that, I do have a thing here for how they can get involved. And the reason I was asking about like departmentally is, do you have like, if I'm good at marketing, do I get involved in that? If I'm good at, you know I can lift a lot of stuff. Do I, help move and stock stuff? Those are the types of things, or is it just get in touch with you guys and find out where you can fit in?
It's more of a get in touch with us guys. I mean, one of the things that I do hope as I'm out in the community and trying to spread the word and get people to understand what's going on is, partnerships with some of the companies that may be able to help. Let's face it, you're going to have air conditioning that's going to become an issue, sooner or later. I mean, this is an old
Mhm.
building. Okay. Is there an air conditioning company out there that is either, willing to come in and do it for free,
Right.
and
Or
have it
reduced
become an
cost.
in-kind donation that, they can write off on their taxes or be able to give a discounted rate to help out. Those are things that certainly can be of help. If some of those companies want to step up and say, hey, if you're having trouble with plumbing, I can come in and do it. If you're having trouble with electrical, I can come in and do it.
Well,
Um,
so is that what you think that you need most of right now, is people with like building skills, or is it D, all of the above?
it's all of the above, and I mean, let's face it. Again, money comes in when it seems that money's needed, but that
Hmm.
doesn't mean that we can't say, hey, if somebody watches this thing and wants to, write us a check or hit that donate now button on,
I would love it.
certainly we don't want to discourage
Oh,
people from making
and
financial
by the
plans.
way, we do have a QR code up there so people can click on there and donate. Plus, I'm going to put the link that goes straight to the donation page so we can, get that in. People can find you. You guys have a social media presence on Facebook.com/Frog Ministry. Who you running that too, or
No, I'm not doing that. That's somebody else's job, and yeah, I mean, I can only take on so much, but I am looking to try to tweak the website just a little bit.
oh,
So
and that's at frogministries.org.
correct,
So, if you want to find out more about the organization, give a call. If you want to donate, if you want to volunteer, there's just so many ways to give to an organization that is obviously uh, going above and beyond what we would consider the traditional thrift store.
right. And
You blow
remember,
that
I mean,
whole
it's not just um, donating financially, because that
right.
whole store runs around clothing for men, women, children, babies, baby needs, uh, home housewares, bedding, um, toys. All this stuff comes in.
Well,
It goes
do,
out.
do people donate that to you?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep. That's where we get it from.
I will tell you, and we're going to put up the address so people will know where to go and drop off.
Hmm.
But get in touch with all of the liquidators in Volusia County. No kidding.
Great idea. Great idea.
Well, they end up at the end of the weekend, they've got more stuff than they've sold, and they got to get rid of it. So just letting you
Good
know.
point. Good point.
But I am so glad, Gary, that we were finally able to, tie you down, get you into this, and kind of reveal something that I know most people don't know about. Because if they did, it would just be, mayhem. But you're doing the right things. You're doing them for the right reasons, I believe. And I just, as a member of the Volusia community, I want to thank you for, for doing these things for us. As I say, uh, this is just the beginning. We know what is about to happen, and
Hmm.
the gaps are just going to be wider. So, thank you for doing what you do. Thanks to all of the people that are a part of the team there. And we'll do our best to let people know what you guys provide as far as the resources in this area.
Well, thank you so much for having me on this. It's been fun, and I'm glad to share this with anyone. Let me, if it's okay, if anybody
Please
wants
go.
to get in touch with me directly,
Uh huh.
it's probably best if you use what I'll call my direct email address. It's going to sound strange, but it's gary.frog@outlook.com. So,
Okay. We'll go ahead and put that up in the in the superimposed characters so people can get a look at that. They'll know that. We also put the address and the phone number. So if you want to get involved, and I think you should, get get in touch with Gary and all the people at Frog. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye bye.
bye bye.